Imagine a world where every Straw Hat who never ate a devil fruit suddenly woke up with one, and not just any random fruit, but the exact power built for their fighting style and personality. Some of these matches are so perfect that Oda himself has dropped hints about them, and if they ever became real, the entire balance of the One Piece world would flip upside down. In this video, we're going to break down the devil fruits that would perfectly suit each of these Straw Hats. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. Firstly, let's talk about Roronoa Zoro. The first devil fruit that would suit Zoro really well is the Riki Riki no Mi. This Paramecia type devil fruit gives the user incredible superhuman strength, letting them lift and throw things that would normally be way too heavy, like giant boulders or even entire buildings. For Zoro, this would be a perfect match because his fighting style already depends on raw power and heavy sword strikes. With this fruit, every single swing of his blades would hit like a wrecking ball. Zoro was already known for cutting through steel, stone, and even things people thought were impossible to cut. Adding the Riki Riki no Mi on top of that would turn his attacks into absolute destruction. It also fits his brute force style perfectly. At that point, Zoro wouldn't just be slicing his enemies, he would be crushing them before they even had the chance to react. The second option is way crazier. It's the Uo Uo no Mi model Seiryu. This is the exact same mythical devil fruit that Kaido had, and it lets the user turn into a giant dragon, or a dragon-human hybrid. On top of that, it gives control over fire, lightning, and wind, which would basically turn Zoro from a swordsman into a walking natural disaster. Oda himself has already said that if Zoro ever got a devil fruit, this would be the one. That pretty much ends the debate. With this fruit, Zoro would have insane strength, dragon scales that make him nearly impossible to hurt, and powerful elemental attacks, all on top of his already terrifying haki. At that point, Zoro wouldn't be the one getting lost anymore. His enemies would be the ones lost, just trying to survive him. Next up, we have Nami. I guess this one is quite obvious, right? At this point, Oda should just give Nami Goro Goro no Mi. This Logia-type fruit lets the user create, control, and even turn their body into pure lightning. It was the same fruit used by Enel, who was so strong that he was almost impossible to beat in Skypiea. For Nami, this fruit would be a perfect match, because she already fights using lightning attacks with her Climatact. With this fruit, she wouldn't need to rely on weather tricks anymore. She could shoot massive lightning bolts on her own, move at the speed of light, and become nearly untouchable in battle. At that point, Nami wouldn't just be the navigator of the crew, she would be one of the strongest fighters on the Sunny. The second fruit that would suit Nami is the Goru Goru no Mi, a fruit that would let the user create and control gold. This one fits Nami almost too perfectly, because her biggest dream in the whole series is treasure. A fruit that literally lets her make gold out of thin air would be the most Nami thing ever. But it wouldn't just be useful for her dreams, she could also use it as a powerful weapon by shaping gold into chains, walls, blades, or even giant traps to catch her enemies. It also matches her clever and greedy personality, since she always finds a way to mix fighting with money making. At that point, Nami wouldn't just be chasing treasure across the seas, she would be walking around as a living treasure herself. After this, we have God Usopp. The first devil fruit that would suit him really well is the Mato Mato no Mi. This Paramecia type fruit lets the user mark any target just by touching it, and once that target is marked, anything the user throws will always fly straight toward it no matter how far away it is. For a sniper like Usopp, this is basically the perfect power. He already has crazy aim, but with this fruit, he would literally never miss a shot again. It also matches his smart and tricky fighting style, since he wins battles using his brain instead of brute strength. The second devil fruit that would suit Usopp is the Soru Soru no Mi. This is the same fruit Big Mom used, and it lets the user pull souls out of people and place them into objects, bringing those objects to life. This fits Usopp almost too perfectly, because he already names his weapons and treats his tools like they have a personality. With this fruit, he could bring his slingshot, his pop greens, or even random objects to life and have them fight beside him. At that point, Usopp wouldn't just be the sniper of the crew anymore, he would be leading a whole army of living weapons built from his own imagination. Now that we're done with Usopp, let's talk about Sanji here as well. The first devil fruit that would suit Sanji really well is the Mera Mera no Mi. This Logia type fruit lets the user create, control, and even turn their body into pure fire. It was the same fruit used by Ace and later passed down to Sabo, which already proves how powerful the fruit is. For Sanji, this fruit would be the perfect match, because his strongest move, Diable Jambe, is already based on fire. With this fruit, he wouldn't need to spin his leg at insane speeds just to heat it up anymore. Every single kick would naturally come out as a blast of fire, and he could even shoot flames from a distance. It also fits his personality, since Sanji burns with passion in everything he does, from fighting to cooking to protecting the people he loves. At that point, Sanji wouldn't just be the cook of the crew, he would be a walking inferno on two legs. The second devil fruit that would suit Sanji is the Tori Tori no Mi model Phoenix. This is the same mythical Zoan fruit used by Marco the Phoenix, and it lets the user turn into a phoenix with blue flames that can heal almost any wound. This one fits Sanji on every level. His fighting style is already based on fire, so the blue flames match perfectly. On top of that, Sanji is the cook of the crew, which means his whole role is about healing and taking care of his friends. A fruit that literally lets him heal himself and stay in the fight forever fits him better than almost anyone else. Plus, being able to fly would pair amazingly with his skywalk technique. At that point, Sanji wouldn't just be supporting the crew from the kitchen, he would be a nearly immortal phoenix protecting them from the skies. After Sanji, we have Jinbei. There are some interesting theories regarding Jinbei's devil fruit, but the one I believe would suit him is the Sui Sui no Mi. This paramecia type fruit lets the user swim through solid surfaces like walls, floors, and even the ground as if they were water. For Jinbei, this is basically a dream power. He's already the strongest fishman karate user in the world, and his whole style is built around moving and fighting like he's underwater. With this fruit, he wouldn't be limited to the sea anymore. He could swim through the ground, pop out underneath enemies, and turn any battlefield into his home turf. It also fits him perfectly because Jinbei has always been known as the helmsman who controls the flow of battle. At that point, no matter where the fighting takes place, Jinbei would always be in his element. Another devil fruit that would suit Jinbei is the Mizu Mizu no Mi, a fruit that would let the user create and control water. This one fits Jinbei almost too perfectly, since his entire fighting style, Fishman Karate, is based on using water as a weapon. Right now, he can only do that when there's water nearby, but with this fruit, he could summon massive tidal waves, water bullets, and pressure blasts anywhere, even in the middle of the desert. It would also match his calm and steady personality, since water is powerful but flows smoothly just like Jinbei himself. At that point, Jinbei wouldn't just be the helmsman of the Straw Hats, he would be a one-man ocean walking on land. Moving on to Franky, a devil fruit that would suit Franky really well is the Jiki Jiki no Mi. This paramecia type fruit lets the user control magnetism, pull metal objects from anywhere, and shape them into massive weapons. It was the same fruit used by Eustace Kid, who built giant arms and weapons out of scrap metal during his battles. For Franky, this fruit is the perfect match because he's a cyborg made of metal, and his whole personality is built around machines and weapons. With this fruit, he wouldn't need to carry weapons anymore. He could rip metal out of the ground, off ships, or even from his enemies, and build whatever he wanted right on the spot. At that point, Franky wouldn't just be a cyborg, he would be a walking factory. The next devil fruit that would suit Franky is the Buki Buki no Mi. This paramecia type fruit lets the user turn any part of their body into a weapon, from swords to cannons to missiles. It was the same fruit used by Baby 5, but in Franky's hands, it would be on a whole different level. He already builds weapons directly onto his body, like his cannons, his radical beam, and his armored fists. With this fruit, he wouldn't need to build anything anymore. He could just imagine a weapon and turn his arms into it instantly. It also fits his loud and over-the-top personality, since Franky lives for big explosions and crazy gadgets. At that point, Franky wouldn't just be the shipwright of the crew, he would be a living arsenal with no limits. That's it, folks. Let me know what devil fruits do you guys think would suit these characters, and I'll see you in the next one.